Hello, 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 and today we got a good one. I got to show you how we're going to make our 50% win ratio decks win more than a 60% win ratio deck. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but just hear me out. I'm going to show you how we're going to do it in the TCG and Master Duel using math and a really cool technique that dictates all the way back to politicians using it in the 1920s, I believe. Now, here's what they do. Politicians do it, and we're going to do it in Master Duel and in TCG Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm going to show you how right now. So what they do is, let's say we have a population of 100, right? And 30% of them belong to the yellow party, right? And 60% belong to the blue party, while 10% of the people are undecided, right? This could be a planet, this could be a county, this could be whatever, right? And from here, this is where we're gonna make an assumption. We're going to say that, let's assume that there's 3 seats to give out, right? Well, the yellow party's not going to have a good time because they're about 1/3 to the blue party. So what's going to happen is, if it goes to like voting and whatnot, or just from a pure mathematical standpoint, the blue party's going to have 2 spots, while the yellow party's only going to have 1 spot. But by using a technique called gerrymandering, if the districts were aligned in such a way like this, you could see here, by aligning the districts like this, the blue party would probably win 1 election, while the yellow party would win 2 elections, thus giving yellow party 2 spots, while the blue party only has 1 spot. Now, isn't that very interesting? Look at this. Because yeah, the blue would win here, and then yellow would probably win here and here. So that's interesting. How even though there's only 30% yellow, it's still going to win 2 out of the 3 times. Now, what is that? This goes back, it's called gerrymandering. A politician named Jerry did that. And they said that it looked, when he did these like weird redistrict thing, that it looks like a salamander. Thus you get the name gerrymander. Well, how do we gerrymander Yu-Gi-Oh, right? I'm going to show you how a YCS champion winner did such a thing. I'm going to show you right now what he did. He used Labyrinth that had about a 50% win ratio depending on the format and decks, but roughly had about a 50% win ratio. Going against the tier 1 Snake Eyes, he went against many Snake Eyes players that had about a 60% win ratio. And if you're just looking at it, this is what a normal Snake Eyes deck looks like, by the way. It's got about a 65% chance to win going first and a 55% chance going second, thus giving it a all-around 60% chance to win. While Labyrinth, on the other hand, has a 50% win ratio, and that's consisted of about a 55% chance to win going first and a 45% chance to win going second. Well, our champion wasn't using the typical Labyrinth build, and I'm going to show you what he did in a second. But first, I want to show you what it looks like if we're matching up. For using a typical Labyrinth going against a typical Snake Eyes, you have this sort of matchup here, right? And don't forget that the going second Snake Eyes has to go against the going first, so they have about the same win ratio there. And these, remember, these are their win ratios, but notice that it doesn't equal 100, so we do have to, remember, these are their individual win ratios. We have to do a little bit of math to see how it looks like when they go against each other. I'll do that off screen right now and show you the updated math numbers. Of course, the 55 and 55 become 50%. That's a coin flip. And then the updated numbers become here. A little bit of rounding I did just to make it look smooth, but we have about a 60% chance to lose to the Snake Eyes if we go second, and it's a 50-50 if we go first. Now, very interesting to know that Labyrinth can still win this if they get lucky, maybe with a couple of going like coin flips, or if it's still not out of Labyrinth's reach that it can beat this matchup. But Snake Eyes does have the advantage, particularly too when it goes first. So, although it's possible to win, let's see, we're most likely going to lose. Let's see if we could do something better. In fact, we can, because this is what the YCS champion did. He gerrymandered his deck. And how did he do that? Well, he still ended up keeping it roughly about a 50% win ratio, funny enough. But, in fact, he had a win ratio where he went going first he won only about 15% of the time, and going second was 85% of the time. He gerrymandered his deck in such a way that he took all of like the going first cards out of his deck and made a blind going second Labyrinth deck. And it still averaged out to about a 50% win ratio. But funny enough, when you match it up against Snake Eyes, look what happens now, right? So we have the new numbers updated. And take a look at this. When I do the math and truncate them, the going second Snake Eyes actually has an 80% chance to win now. Remember, because we made it really bad going first. And even though the lab only had a 15% chance, remember this only had a 55% chance. It makes it, when you do the math, the lab has about a 20% chance now to win in this particular matchup, but still a very, very, very big chance of losing. Here's something which is interesting. Because this is a blind second build, going second, now the Labyrinth player has a 65% chance to win against the 35% chance to win Snake Eye player. And what makes this really interesting is when you think about the player psychology, whoever wins the dice roll, if Lab wins, is going to choose to go second. And remember, Snake Eyes he thinks that he has the better win ratio going first. So even if Snake Eye player wins, he's going to choose to go first, thus falling into Labyrinth player's trap. No pun intended. Now, here's the cool rules about how tournaments are held. The loser chooses. So if Lab won, Snake Eyes would choose. If he's smart, he would choose to go second, or he would most likely win. But he could even sometimes choose to go first again, thus again falling into the trap. He was like, oh, maybe he got lucky, la la la. But let's just say he is a smart player and he goes second, and he realized what the Labyrinth player was up to. Now it's pretty much going to be maybe 1-1, and now the Labyrinth player gets to choose, and again it gets another 65% shot. So all in all, the odds of the Labyrinth player winning is more than 50% chance when you do the best of threes in all the matchups, thus making this 50% deck win more than the 60% deck. And remember, this is blind going second deck. This was the YCS Portman winner. Let's take a look at what he actually did. I'm going to show you his true deck list here. He won Portman by, look at this. What a Chad. He put 3, I can't believe this, 3 Phantasmes in his deck, 3 Nibiru. If you went and you showed your friends this deck list, they probably would have thought you were crazy. They're like, yo, why are you putting 3 Phantasmes in your main deck? Again, this was a blind second, and it worked. Look at all these good go second cards he's doing, though. He's running the nice Rescue Ace engine here. He's got these cards to get the Black Goat Laugh going. He's got a lot of very, very interesting cards. And Zeus too, not Zeus, Typhoon, excuse me. Very good go second cards. And now, even if he goes first and is made to go first, after the side deck, you can see here too, he's running these blowout cards to make sure that he even tries to stand a good chance to go first if the opponent makes him. Very, very interesting. Very well played, good props. That's how you do it in the TCG to gerrymander your deck. Now, what about Master Duel? What can we do in Master Duel, where Master Duel is a best of 1? It's a 3-day tournament on the weekend, right? Where you have to accumulate the most points, right? You fight and you're accumulating points. So how can we do this? Well, we're not going to gerrymander. We're going to have to do a whole new technique. It's like a brand new video. I'm going to show you a different way 50% chance can win against a 60% chance. Well, it has to do with time. We're going to utilize time here. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's take this Dark Magician deck. Let's say you make a Dark Magician deck that's got a 55% win ratio, and you're going against Snake Eyes in Master Duel, which has like a 66% win ratio. How can we win in the best of 1 scenarios in these tournaments? Well, very, very interesting. Because this 66 win ratio is brought down, is mathematically brought down or broken down like this. It takes about 10 minutes for these Snake Eyes to do their matches, because they do all these combos and this really good back and forth, which means in about an hour you get to play 6 games, which means 4 wins, 2 losses, which is about, again, it's about 2/3. So you get 4 wins, 2 losses. If you're getting roughly about 1,000 points difference more than your wins and losses, you're averaging about 2,000 points an hour. Very interesting. Now let's take a look at the Dark Magician player. The Dark Magician player only has a 55% win rate, but his deck either wins or loses very quickly, right? His matches are only 3 minutes and 20 seconds because he's running this like hyper OTK quick deck. He's either going to win or lose. That's why it's a lower win rate, but it's a fast duel, 3 minutes and 20 seconds, which means he can do 18 games, which means he's going to win 10, lose 8, which is a difference of 2, which means, again, he's probably getting about 2,000 points an hour. So even though he has 11% chance less to win than the Snake Eyes player, he's still getting the same amount of points per hour. Very interesting. So that's how we're going to make these lower percentage decks win more than the higher percentage decks. Now, take a look at this graph, right? This represents, let's just say here, I'm making a little graph here. This represents your win percentage. This is going to represent time. And this is going to represent your points per game, right? And let's just say like right here is about 51% win ratio when we're talking about win ratios, because it's got to be above 50%, right? Because we got to at least be going positive. So because there is a caveat to this technique, because there is going to be a certain point where that strategy won't work and you do have to resort to the better win ratios. But where is that? Well, it's going to happen when, remember, you just need these low win ratios. As long as you're winning fast, you don't need to take that much time, right? You're winning fast because you're getting a lot of points per game. But as you're getting more and more points, you're starting to get less and less points, and you're starting to take more points loss when you lose and gain less points when you win. Thus, you need to increase your win ratio. So right when you get about there at that circular point, right when we get about right here is when we have to switch from using our Dark Magicians, our Numeron, our Ancient Warriors, like all these really fast decks, our 8-axis going second, our Makanko decks. That's where we switch from our Makanko decks to we really have to start playing the more win ratio grindy decks like the Labyrinth, like the Snake Eyes, all these decks that are tried and true and proven, maybe even those Pendulum decks that set up all those negates. Because again, we're trying to maximize points versus time. And so right here, you're better off using those low win ratio decks as long as they're winning faster. And then again, right here, I can't use numbers. You have to really see for yourself because Master Duel unfortunately doesn't give us the formula. But once you start taking more losses and you're losing more points than you're gaining, that's when you have to kind of switch out and take more of a methodical approach. But very interesting. So that's how we're going to make decks with lower win ratios win more and beat out the bigger win ratios. I thought that was really cool. And if you like this kind of stuff, all these kind of numbers and stuff like that, please consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this. I appreciate it very much if you enjoyed this video. And come join the Discord too. We talk about fascinating strategies. You can post your deck list for review. We will review your deck list. All sorts of crazy cool stuff is going in the Discord. Come check it out. I hope you guys like this one, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.